Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. May 10th, 2018.
Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, Trump's War, and God, Faith, and Reason, Michael Savage.
Welcome to the Savage Nation. Today we're going to talk about Benedict McShane, a turncoat that stands with the Demony. And the reason I'm focusing on Benedict McShane is because yesterday he stabbed the president's choice for overseeing the CIA in the back. He went along with the far-left contingent, the Islamists, and those who would render us incapable of defending ourselves. Now, this is a sensitive topic because many of you have been brainwashed into thinking that because he is an American hero, which he is, he has, therefore, a lifetime immunity from criticism, which he does not. There are many cases in history of people who have served ably in the military, some heroically, who then turned and went to work for the enemy, most notably Benedict Arnold. And so I will today talk about that topic, Benedict McShane, working for the Demony, a new word that I invented for you today for your listening pleasure, Demony. And I say enough is enough. We're also going to talk about who is paying the stripper's ambulance chaser. I'm going to ask you, should talk radio be banned? That's a good one. We have some AI sound from Google that I think is astonishing. Google gave a stunning demo of an assistant making actual phone calls, a jaw-dropping Google Assistant where you can phone up and the computer answers you as though it's live and real. The assistant even dropped in a super casual, what? The beautiful part about this is that while I'm still alive, I'll be the only voice left in the media that cannot be confused with a Google voice. What you're listening to is a human being. With the others, I'm not so sure. You could substitute Google for half of them, or all of them. So with McShane, I said, should medically impaired members of Congress be forced to retire? Benedict McShane is working for the Demony. Enough is enough. And in the Twitter exchange, someone wrote, there's nothing wrong with a senator who was once tortured by Viet Cong in Nam voting against confirmation of a known torturer to become director of CIA. Every American should hold our government to a higher standard. God bless John McCain for taking a stand. My answer was this. Typical lib non-argument. You'd rather a suitcase nuke explode in a city than waterboard a terrorist. And I think that's settled the argument. We are not in a university setting where everything is just done in a laboratory. You have people who would blow you up, blow your family up, blow your mother up, blow your father up, blow your infant up. And I say I don't care about waterboarding them if it's down to that. I'd pull their fingernails out if I could find out where the bomb was. I have no idea where people come up with these ideas that we should have a higher standard. Those days of higher standards ended with the advent of Wahhabism. It went out the window. We're not living in a dream world anymore. Benedict McShane, a turncoat that stands with the Demony, in his last days has decided no longer wants to be remembered for the war hero he was, but as a turncoat against his country, a Demony of the people. His opposition to one of the most loyal and knowledgeable people nominated to head the CIA, someone who has worked in the agency for 30 years, someone who was responsible for foiling terror plots after 9/11, will go down as one of his final acts of treason against his nation. This man, the so-called maverick, has done more to side with Democrats on policies against this nation than any other Republican, and all to the detriment of the country. His corruption of character dates back to the 80s with the Keating 5 scandal, which allowed his family to profit from the dealings of Charles Keating, while McCain was pressuring regulators to back off of him. Later, McCain turned on President Bush, voting against both his tax cuts, and joined Democrats on what seemed to be all the domestic issues like health care, auto emission standards, gun control, and climate change. And let's not forget, he's the biggest open borders Republican there is. Then running for president in 2008, he almost had Democrat Joe Lieberman become his VP nominee, something he just recently said he regrets not doing, throwing a loyal Sarah Palin under the bus in the process. And during that campaign, he wouldn't have anyone on his staff say anything bad about his opponent, Barack Hussein Obama. You could say McCain gave us 8 years of the disastrous Obama presidency, which gave us a horrible Iran deal, crushing health care policy with Obamacare, and the list is endless. McCain built all of it. And now he goes after Trump. And he goes after him with a vengeance. This vengeful man, who is upset because Trump made an offhand comment about him, is willing to go against his own nation just to stab Trump in the back. Let's not forget the late-night thumbs down he gave on the Senate floor to stop the repeal of Obamacare, stabbing the nation in the back. And now with brain cancer, and knowing he is near death, he says he is going to do whatever he wants, including putting the nation in danger by rejecting a qualified CIA nominee. Yes, McCain served his country ably in Vietnam, was a prisoner of war, and was a hero to me. But Benedict Arnold was also a great American war hero. And Benedict Arnold's name is now synonymous with traitor. He was wounded at the Battle of Saratoga, a battle that was one of the first major battles the Americans won. Benedict Arnold nearly died from his wounds. Had he died right there, Arnold would have gone down as one of the greatest American generals, and a hero that would be talked about in schools today. But Benedict Arnold lived. And he, like McCain, because he felt he'd been slighted by Washington, turned on his nation and became the biggest traitor in American history. John McCain is following the same exact path. He could have been a great hero, and now he's just a demony of the people. Clint, play the song. I'll take the calls at 855-400-7282, 855-400-SAVAGE. We'll go to the main question. Should medically impaired Congress be forced to retire? That would be... I can't hear it, but go ahead. I say play it. That means so we can hear it, actually, including me. All right, fine. The music doesn't even work for me. My brilliance overrides the bad music. So break that record. Benedict McShane, a turncoat that stands with the demony. We've just talked about that. And the question for you is, should medically impaired members of Congress like McCain be forced to retire? I would also include Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's obviously crazy, long past the prime. We're also asking who is paying the stripper's ambulance chaser. And I've asked a loaded question that I only want progressives to call on, which is, should talk radio be banned? But before you call and say, yes, Savage, you have no right to be on the radio, think very carefully what you're saying. Because if it starts with me, it will not end with me. This is the Savage Nation, 855-400-7282. We're also talking about the Google demonstration of an assistant making an actual phone call that you're not going to believe. And I think that we should probably play that in the beginning of this show because it's so alarming when you hear about it. We know about sex dolls, and now you have voices that sound like human beings. Where will this end? How does it end? It doesn't end well. So let's listen to a Google assistant making a call from someone who wants to make a haircut appointment in clip 1.
So how can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling to book a woman's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around?
At 12 p.m.
We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15.
Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for?
Just a woman's haircut for now.
Okay, we have at 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. is fine.
Okay, what's her first name?
The first name is Lisa.
Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. Have a great day. Bye.
God, I wish she was my assistant. I wouldn't have to worry about headaches, family problems. She'd show up to work on time. She'd be cheerful every day. God, where do I get one of those? But on a non-comedic level, I want you to think very carefully about the voice that they have synthesized at Google. and what this portends for the future. And now you know why you're addicted to Michael Savage. Because of all the voices in the media, and I include all of them, my voice is the most distinctive in the United States of America. Because I wasn't created in 2018 by the engineers at Google.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
To fear the world we have organized and led the 3/4 of a century, to abandon the ideals we have advanced around the globe, to refuse the obligations of international leadership and our duty to remain the last best hope of Earth for the sake of some half-baked, spurious nationalism cooked up by people who would rather find scapegoats than solve problems. Is as unpatriotic as an attachment to any other tired dogma of the past that Americans consigned to the ash heap of history.
Well, you, my friend, are going to be remembered in the ash heap of traitors. You are a shame to the family name. The McCain name was a glorious name in American military annals. The grandfather was a great man. The father was a great man. This guy was a putz from the get-go. Last in his class at Annapolis. Caused deaths on the aircraft carrier by hitting the wrong button and firing off Zuni missiles that almost sank an aircraft carrier. We can forgive him all of that because he suffered at the hands of the Vietnamese for 5 straight years as a hero. Trump was wrong to say he wasn't a hero, but in a certain way Trump was right when he said he prefers his heroes not to have been captured. He put it the wrong way. But let's put all of that aside and not argue over whether or not he's a hero. He is a hero. I couldn't have survived 5 years of being tortured by those bastards, could you? But the thing is, that was then, this is now. And I gave you a long example of another great American hero who turned on his own country. And that was Benedict Arnold. So now we have Benedict McShame, a turncoat who stands with the Demony. What do you think about this? And I also want to talk about the other topics. I don't want to get trapped in this for 3 hours. Which is, who is paying the stripper's ambulance chaser? No one can answer that question. He's a well-known operative of the Obama machine out of Chicago. We had 8 years of them. They do opposition research and destroy people by digging stuff up that may or may not be true. You call that a lawyer? I don't. And the issue of talk radio. Should talk radio be banned? You won't believe what's going on in England right now. How bad they have fallen, how far they have fallen as a nation. I have to find this article because I want to get it exactly right. In England, they're proposing a 6-year prison sentence for anyone who posts against gays or transgenders or Muslims. If I made this up, then damn me. But I'm not making it up. In England, the land of the Magna Carta, someone in Parliament is trying to pass a law which says that if you put down gays or transgenders or Muslims, you go to jail for 6 years. This is how far England has fallen. I'm proud to tell you I'm banned from England. Do you want that in America? Prison sentences for people who post against, let's say, any religion? That would make most of the people on late-night television capable, subject to prison sentence. All of them. Think of what you're saying. You want prison sentence for someone who says something against a religion? That would be the end of talk television at night, wouldn't it? All the wise guys, they'd be out of business. Should talk radio be banned? I'd like to talk about these topics. I think they're important. And then the AI thing is fantastic. On a side note, just for your scientific thinking, I was riding my bicycle this morning. It's pretty cold here in Northern California right now. It's inordinately kind of cold. And there's a cool wave across the country. So I usually think very clearly on a bicycle. And I saw new houses going up, and I saw there was a new law which says all houses in California have to have solar panels, which I think is a good idea, by the way. You know, less carbon emissions, less pollution. I'm for clean air. But then I got to think about it. Wait a minute. let's think about this for a minute. I thought as I'm on my bike. A solar panel absorbs the energy of the sun, which would normally hit the earth and be absorbed by the crust of the planet, right? So I said, wait a minute, do solar panels have an effect on climate? I started to think as I pedaled along. And about a half a mile later, I said, wait a minute, do solar panels cause global cooling? I thought. And then when I got home, I Googled the question, and guess what I found? Yes, solar panels change the way sunlight is reflected and absorbed by the earth. Any radiation solar panels absorb is not absorbed by the earth. This leads to a cooling effect in the region surrounding the array. And they did simulations in the study which assumed solar panel installations throughout the world's desert and urban areas. And guess what happened, all of you coolists and warmists? A 2 degrees Celsius regional cooling in the desert regions. But even worse, the cooling, because of the solar panels, was associated with a 20% decrease in precipitation in the deserts. Other slightly broader changes in precipitation and wind patterns also occurred as a result in the region surrounding the deserts. So all the do-gooders who are screaming that we have to have solar panels everywhere may have a good idea, but like all roads to hell, they're paved with good intentions. We may wind up destroying ourselves by over-solaring, by going over solar. By putting up too many solar panels, the radiation will not be absorbed by the Earth's crust, and then what happens? The Earth cools. Who are you going to blame then? Well, you can't blame anybody. You don't have to point fingers. It's just not thinking things through. It's called a rush to judgment. And unless you think things through, you often make mistakes. As many of you thought that Trump was the most evil man on the planet. Now he's got a meeting with Kim in Singapore, ending the threat, at least for now, of a nuclear war in the Korean Peninsula. Brought home hostages from Iran. All bad, right? All bad things. This is what happens when you don't think. But we're talking mainly right now about McShane. And I'd like to talk about that with you if you don't mind. And the main question is, should medically impaired members of Congress be forced to retire? I guess I would add the Supreme Court, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg is clearly impaired. She can't remember up to the number 9. Nancy Pelosi should be removed and forced to retire. She's clearly impaired. And we, the people, have to suffer through these people. It's very dangerous in a nuclear age, is it not? Savage Nation, be here.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
I hope we can again rely on humility, on our need to cooperate, on our dependence on each other, to learn how to trust each other again, and by so doing better serve the people who elected us. Stop listening to the bombastic loudmouths on the radio and television and the internet. To hell with them.
Boy, that's very American of you. You're a real war hero, John. Why don't you get rid of the First Amendment, and while you're at it, John, get rid of the Second Amendment, and while you're at it, erase the borders, John, because that seems to be your agenda, John. How sad it is to see a man who had the opportunity to go down in history as a hero to die instead as a traitor. UK proposes 6-year prison sentence for online posts against religion or transgender. Breitbart. People promoting, quote, hostility towards a religion or the transgendered online could get sentences of up to 6 years in jail, especially if they have a large online audience, according to new proposals. Maybe John McCain would go along with that one. The so-called Sentencing Council for England and Wales has drafted changes to public order offenses, including anyone perceived as targeting online a, quote, protected characteristics, including, listen carefully, this is what's protected now: race, sex, disability, age, sexual orientation, religion or belief, pregnancy and maternity, and gender reassignment. This is what happens when you have psychotic minorities taking control of a country. They turn the country into a fascist dictatorship in the name of their status. This is very dangerous, especially in a land that gave us the Magna Carta, which led to our Bill of Rights. We're also talking about Benedict McShane, a turncoat who now stands with the Demony. Could have been a war hero, remembered as such, but at the end of his days, he will be remembered by many Americans as a turncoat against his own nation, a demony of the people. What do you think about that? KSFO, Tony, line 7, you're on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Dr. Chavez, I'd like to say that I agree with you what you're saying about Mr. McCain. As a Vietnam veteran, I'm really, really saddened by all he said, because the truth is, when he ran for office, the reason I was going to vote for, I did vote for him, was because of Sarah Palin. But here's a guy that one day he votes Democrat, the next day he votes Republican, and I think what really happened in those 5 years that he was incarcerated by the NBA, he suffers from a severe case of PTSD, and that's why the guy's all over the place. And now to add insult to injury, he's going to have President Obama give his obit at the funeral. I mean, it's just I can't believe it. He couldn't. Yeah,
he's about the most spiteful man in American political history. I don't know of another one who has risen to this level of spite.
I mean, the guy's giving me a double hernia every time I hear something come out of his mouth.
I hope the VA covers double hernias.
Actually, I get good care up at the VA up here in San Francisco. They the staff is from UCSF, so we get very good care up there. But the point is that here's a guy, as you say, he's very spiteful, and it's very sad because he was a war hero, and
yes, Trump was wrong by not saying he was a hero. It came out wrong with Trump. But the thing is, this stabbing us in the back on Obamacare, stabbing us in the back on the border, stabbing us in the back on the CIA nominee, how much worse can it get under McShane?
I don't think it can get any worse, because what I'm thinking, he says he wanted to pick Joe Lieberman. There wasn't some other Republican out there that he could have picked. Even if he didn't want Sarah Palin, there wasn't somebody else. Who does he want to pick? An independent. This is what I'm saying.
Tony, the reason I'm doing this today is because many people have a natural sympathy for veterans, as they should. And then they think that they're sacred cows who can do no wrong. That would be like all cops are heroes. All cops are good. How many times have we found dirty cops recently? Or cops who cash in their disability check, and then they're caught lifting weights or playing golf, right?
Sure. Look at the FBI.
So I think we have to look past the uniform and start looking at the person. And I want people to understand that it's okay to be sad about John Benedict McShane. They don't have to worship him just because he served in Vietnam. Thank you for the call. What about the 6-year prison sentence for online posts against religion, transgender, race, sex, disability, age, religion, belief, pregnancy, maternity, and gender reassignment? How about adding being a political minority in San Francisco? Maybe we should pass a 6-year prison sentence in California for any online posts against political minorities like conservatives in California. How about that? Would that work for you? Okay, Scott on WABC in New York, your opinion on the McShane thing. Go ahead, please.
First of all,
that chocolate.
Second of all, I come from an Air Force family, and nobody in my family or in anybody in the Air Force I know ever considered someone who was shot down to be a hero. Yes, I understand he did his stint in Hanoi Hilton, as did a lot of other of our servicemen who were shot down, but he just seemed like an opportunist. When he came home, he rode his father's coattails into whatever grandstanding, into women, to money, to fame, to everything, and I just don't see him as a hero. And getting back to your other point, if you think that people should not be tested for mental acuity at a certain point in their political careers, then I suggest you give your bank routing codes to Nancy Pelosi and let her balance your checkbook.
Boy, you have strong feelings.
Yes, I do.
Why are you feeling so emotional on this?
Because I'm a member of Generation X. I'm 45 years old, and I have one foot grounded in the old school and one foot in the new school. And as I age, I'm seeing that just the total destruction of the nuclear family of the United States, which is our core, and the new generations that are coming up, we are being destroyed from within. From the constant indoctrination in the schools, to even getting to your point now with the banning of talk radio in other countries. I don't find that surprising at all in London. It's just the next step to them becoming a full Muslim nation. That's really all I see it as. They disarmed the population already. They have no recourse, and this is the...
let's go back to, you hit a raw nerve with me with the issue of families. For years I've said that family is the brick of any society. That has been true from the beginning of time. And along came the radical left, who targeted the family, calling it a bourgeois institution. And they convinced women that sex, wherever and whenever, with whoever, without family, is the norm. And as a result, now women don't want to have babies because it ruins their lifestyle, ruins their fun, ruins their body, right?
Yes. And we are sliding down a slope that I don't think, even if the country comes back, who is going to man the machines? Who is going to be our new workforce? The younger generation doesn't work. They don't have any morals. They don't have any guidelines. Everything is felt entitled. You owe me this. You owe me that. I just graduated college. I'm supposed to start at $80,000 a year. What the hell is going on? And I feel that it is all by design. That it is literally all by design.
Well, I am a man who studied Karl Marx's writings from the age of 18, and Karl Marx targeted the family as a bourgeois institution. I guess you've heard that before?
Yes, I have.
All right, so Marxism very cleverly targeted the family as an institution that must be destroyed to remake society into a top-down, state-controlled society where the family has no value whatsoever. And so they promote what? Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. So now you understand the answer to all the questions, correct?
Yes, I do.
So it's not a generational war, it's a war for the survival of America. Which side is the media on? The media is on the side of anti-family, anti-church, anti-man, anti-woman, anti-children.
I believe...
And so we the people, mainly those who listen to talk radio, are on the other side. Who's winning this battle? Well, right now we're winning because we have a president who believes in family values. I know that sounds ironic as a man who has had many affairs, right? And he's done this and he's done that. They say, how dare he represent family values? Aside from his affairs, he's still a great family man, isn't he? He has many children and many grandchildren, and he didn't run away like a mad dog. He's taking care of all of them. So, yes, he actually does represent family values in a certain traditional way, even with the cheating and running around. By the way, I'm going to stand by those words. I don't see any hypocrisy in it. I see it as an arc going back to ancient times. And so, therefore, we have a family man in the White House who stands in opposition to the degeneracy of our times, being painted as the worst devil on the planet. And I think that this is a battle for the survival, not only of, let us say, a conservative political belief, if you want to call it that, but for the nation itself. I do not know of any society on earth that can survive without the family unit. Can you explain which nation on earth, which tribe on earth ever survived without a family unit? It's unheard of. Remember, I'm classically trained in anthropology along the way. I have a master's in anthropology before I got another master's and then a PhD in another field. I do not know of any society on earth, primitive or otherwise, that does not have a family unit as the core. So you make a very good point. And how we have gone from the age of family values under Ronald Reagan to where we are today of degenerate values after 8 years of Obama and the degenerate media is something that I don't think we can come back from very easily, but there is a hope. And you're not going to like the answer. I live in California, which is largely taken over by Mexican immigrants, legal and illegal. There's a fortunate element to this, Most of the Mexican people I know are extremely family-oriented, extremely offended by sexual deviancy of any kind. Did you know that? And this needs to be thought about in our fervor to protect our nation from illegal immigration. I want you to think carefully about what I just said. I am talking about the Mexicans that I know. The hardest working people I ever met are from Mexico. They're also extremely family-oriented. Wife and children is a must. It's a mark of being a man. They're not a man unless they have a wife and children. Did you know that? I wish that was true for the rest of us here in America. Well, we're running short of time. We're talking now about a number of different things, and if you want to join the conversation, the phone number here is 855-407-282. I'm going to take a quick break, and boy, am I looking forward to it, because for some reason I have a gigantic sugar craving, which I rarely get, and I just had this delivered. Organic chocolate crunch. Dark chocolate and toasted coconut sweetened with coconut crystals. No cane sugar. Low glycemic, soy-free, fair trade, non-GMO. Wow, I can't wait.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
You know, when you think about falling into bed at night, for me it's taken on a new meaning ever since I got my Casper mattress. The engineers at Casper, I've told you before, have really outdone themselves by creating the most exceptionally comfortable sleep experience you can imagine. They have 3 different types. There's the Wave mattress, the Casper mattress, the Essential mattress. They're all different, and they're all different for you. All Casper mattresses are designed with zone support to cuddle and comfort your every muscle. And they all provide the perfect support for every posture that you happen to sleep in. It's the best mattress in the world. And I really do want you to see for yourself why Casper has hundreds of thousands of happy customers like me. Go to Casper.com, code SAVAGE. Try your Casper mattress for 100 nights. 100 nights in your own home. Wow. And you get free shipping and returns. Casper.com, code SAVAGE. Not only you get to try it for 100 nights, but you save $50 on the purchase of select mattresses. Write it down. That's Casper.com, code SAVAGE to save $50. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. We're talking about a number of things. Sadly, we're talking about Benedict McShane, a turncoat that now stands with the Demony. Demony is a new word that I created just for your listening pleasure on the Savage Nation. I don't know what more we could say about it. I mean, it's a bigger question. Should medically impaired members of Congress be forced to retire? Of course they should be. But how do you define medically impaired? That's the real question. And who will be the determinant? I would say a panel of 3 doctors. When a politician, doesn't matter which side they're on, starts to show signs of dementia or senility, as has been seen in the case of Nancy Pelosi for years now, it's just being covered up. I think that there needs to be a panel of 3 doctors in this field who can determine whether they're capable of conducting their affairs with some degree of rationality, because we're living in very dangerous times. This is not a textbook situation. And then we're talking about John McShane attacking America's defenses again. And then I talked about the family being attacked by the leftist media, and I touched on the Marxist perspective on the family. And before I go into that for a minute, the Marxist perspective on the bourgeois family, so-called, the nuclear family has been the targeted enemy of the left because their godfather, Karl Marx, told them that by taking apart the nuclear family, they can take apart capitalism. This is a very important subject for me, and it goes right to the religious discussion we had yesterday. All religious people are family people. All religious people know that it's encoded in their DNA, in their ancestry, and in the Bible from God himself to go forth, get married, and have a family. And so how do you destroy that if you're a Marxist? You start mocking the Catholic Church. You make a mockery of the Catholic Church. You mock Orthodox Jews if you're Woody Allen, if you're part of the Marxist structural conflict of society. And so, again, in a nutshell, the monogamous nuclear family emerged, according to the leftists, meaning Engels. The monogamous nuclear family, which has been mocked by the left since at least the 60s, emerged with capitalism. Before capitalism, the Marxists believed, traditional tribal societies were classless, and they practiced a form of primitive communism in which there was no private property. And that's what they tried to achieve in the Soviet Union. How did that work out for the Russian people? In ancient primitive societies, property was collectively owned, and there were no families as we know them. And they thought that tribal groups existed in a kind of promiscuous horde in which there were no restrictions on sexual relationships. They were dumb and they were wrong. Margaret Mead, one of the greatest phonies in the history of anthropology, who invented her major thesis, put forward the same exact salacious discussion of people in Samoa. The people in not Sonoma. The people in Samoa. I shouldn't mix up Sonoma with Samoa. Maybe the people in Sonoma are salacious, but the people in Samoa are not salacious. They're highly structured, highly organized, and very family-oriented in Samoa, but maybe not in Sonoma.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.